Welcome to Waterfowl East Podcast, gentlemen.
Welcome.
What's going on?
Good evening.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Not a whole
Try
lot.
that again.
Yeah.
Rainy, crappy day here in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the dogs out for a walk. It wasn't fun.
No, I did. I worked on. I built beds this weekend, so nothing fun. Went out.
Built beds.
Master
Yeah.
Bedsmith.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, I'm not the carpenter your dad is. That's for damn sure.
Oh, he just likes to build stuff. He's not happy unless he's working on something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not carpentry. I don't have any carpentry skills. I got enough to build beds. They're pretty good, but
He didn't when he started either. That's what he told me. He just fucked around with it enough
yeah.
that he got good.
I worked in the trades for close to 20 years, and I'm still not a carpenter. You know,
Yeah.
pipe trades.
I'm
very
definitely more
me.
mechanical. I can do all right on mechanical end, but not the friggin' carpentry stuff. It's not my forte.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Gentlemen, spring is in the air.
Spring is in the air. It's 2 months early. It's awesome.
It's friggin' crazy.
I know my dogs are appreciating it, and we've got out for a fair amount of work so far, just doing drills and stuff. I'm trying not to go too crazy, but
It's
Yeah.
definitely the mildest winter and earliest spring I've ever noticed or ever had in my life.
Makes me a little nervous to what the summer's going to be like.
I'm scared it's going to be a drought.
There's no spring runoff. There's no, there's still quite a bit of snow to come from the north, but
But there always is, though, too. There's
That's
always
right.
6 feet of snow up in the north to melt off. Now there's 3 feet.
yeah, the head pond's literally rotting, the ice. It's not going to run, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a dry summer for the
Yeah.
farmers and us.
Yeah. Just get some steady rain. Nothing crazy.
Be consistent.
Exactly. It would be nice because we need to have a decent summer
Yeah, even last year we weren't consistent. We had a lot of rain.
and cold.
Yep. Rough on the potato harvest.
Hard on the potatoes and hard on the friggin' ground nesting birds.
Yep.
Big time. I noticed the grouse numbers are way down this fall. What do you like to call them?
Oh, they're partridge. That's what they are.
Partridge.
as soon as you get past the bridge in Florenceville, they're partridge.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always call them, but I mean, when you got...
And I'm a proud stump shooter.
Yeah. Did you read that?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't read that post?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
That was good. I can't remember what Facebook group. I shared one of the video I posted where I can't hit shit.
Okay.
And then I said, anyone else ever go through a shooting slump? And this guy, I won't say his name, he commented and he's like, I'm not going to lie. He said, I don't miss very often and all this stuff. He said, I shoot over 40 birds a year and over 200 in my life and all this stuff. And he said, I've had a lot of people challenge me and they've all lost and all this stuff. And I'm just, which is great, cool. I just commented. I said, so you shooting them over a dog on a point and like wing shooting them or you stump shooting them? And anyway, I don't need to prove myself to anybody, and I know what I can do, and anyone. And then I'm like, cool. Do you shoot him over a dog on a point on the wing, or do you stump shoot him? He said, oh, I've only ever shot 2 in the air. So he was talking about stump shooting them, and I mean, we wing shoot them and stuff. But anyway, it was funny. I was just like right on. I said, that's some good eating. But it was funny. He's a fellow stump shooter, Ryan.
Yeah, well, there's no comparison, right?
No, you can be pretty accurate when they're standing on the ground, not moving.
Oh man, I always love when you come across. Like I only hunt partridge a couple times. See down here below the bridge, they're partridge.
Well, I mean, the only reason I say
It's not a partridge.
I only
Partridge?
say it because of the people out west and the hunters. So when you guys hear us say partridge, we're talking about the ruffed grouse, not a Hungarian partridge. So we'll call it partridge for today.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but I hunt them like just a couple times a year.
yeah.
And when I come across one, like Ellie and I were out there last year, and I saw one going on the ground, like my friggin' heart was just pounding. Brought me right back to when I was like 14 years old, man. I was like,
Yeah.
it is on.
Yeah.
If it would have
Rowan.
flown, I would have shot at it.
Rowan gets like buck fever, man. Like he's literally shaking.
Yeah.
Oh,
over
yeah.
partridge. It's friggin' awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I get pretty wound up.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I friggin' love it. I like watching the dog do his thing, find him, point him, and I can go up and whiff the shit out of him.
Oh, I enjoy that with the dog. That's fun.
Yeah. Man, I had a wicked shooting slump this fall, like the worst of my life. And I didn't know what the heck it was. I didn't change anything or do anything, but I tried that different ammo, that Kent bismuth, and it's 1,200 feet per second. Well, I'm used to shooting 1450, like fast steel or fast steel plus or bismuth or whatever, waterfowl loads. Because I was crushing them in waterfowl. Then I'd go partridge hunting, couldn't hit a damn thing. And I never figured it out for like a month. And then finally I'm like looking at the shot and I'm like, man, 1,200, 13, 14, 250 or 300 feet per second is a big difference.
So you were overleading them?
And that's the thing. It's like waterfowl. I don't aim.
It's like shooting lead.
Yeah. I just look at the bird and shoot. And that's all I had done. That's all I was doing. And I couldn't hit a thing. Man, as soon as I switched, I got that 20 gauge fast steel. I never hardly missed a partridge after that. But it was over a month. I couldn't hit anything.
Have you seen that new show that Ryan Bassam's doing?
Yeah,
The
Road to 100.
Road to 100.
No, what's that?
It's on YouTube. I don't know if he's got it on. He must have it on TV. But I've been following him, and he was talking about being over there in Sweden, and like once you get over there in Europe, there's like no rules, right? Unplug guns, like shoot at night, whatever.
Dandy.
Yeah, it was crazy, and shooting lead and stuff. And he was talking about that. He's like, wow, it's quite a bit different shooting lead shot, because it's so much slower, right? But I remember, like the year before I was legal to hunt was the last year for lead, because they took it away from the water, and then they said you could do it in a field as long as you were 200 meters away from water. And the year I started, it went to steel.
They cut it all out.
Yeah. But I remember Perkins, like, out of that friggin' 10 gauge, man, shooting lead. Like, he could friggin' hammer him. And it killed him, too. Like,
Yeah.
And it was a big difference when we switched to steel.
Well, and the first steel sucked so bad.
It sucked, and it just wouldn't kill him,
Yeah.
But he was like the old rooster booster there.
Man, lead.
Did you end up getting that gun?
Yeah.
You still got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That 20?
No, the 10.
No, I sold it for him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't want it.
Man, lead out of a friggin' 10 gauge is wild.
I almost bought one of them once.
Yes, SP10s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're worth a lot of money now.
I bet. They don't make them anymore, do they?
Yeah.
Hard to probably get a 10 gauge.
Well, it's hard to get one in good shape.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Does Scott still have his?
He does, yeah.
He's got a Browning, though, doesn't he?
BPS.
BPS?
Yeah. Yeah.
Might as well keep that.
I'm glad I didn't get a 10 gauge. You wouldn't have been the shot that you could have been if you had a 10 gauge. You just couldn't get any.
There certainly is a difference, though. Like, I had a lot of guys this fall with 10 gauges.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, probably like 6.
No way.
Yep. And it made a difference.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big friggin' payload.
When he switched over, like, he was always a good shot, but when he switched over and got that Wad Wizard, and then he got a load that worked for him, it was like he could shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He put him down with that thing. But I remember as a kid watching him shoot birds with lead, and it just crumpled them. Like there wasn't, like there's always cripples now, but even like now, if all those guys were shooting lead, I think we'd have a lot more dead birds.
Oh, frig yeah.
I mean, steel's come a long ways, and we've got a lot of good non-toxic, but for the majority of the time, guys are shooting steel. And I mean,
is it between bismuth and tungsten in density? Lead?
No.
Where is it?
It's above bismuth, as far as I know.
But I don't think it's above tungsten.
Tungsten's heavier than lead.
Yeah, tungsten's the most dense shot.
I believe.
Tungsten's heavier than lead. I thought bismuth was too.
I don't know.
I thought
I'd have to dig out my periodic table.
Yeah, I know. I thought that lead was between bismuth and tungsten. But either way, all three of them are freaking wild. They are off the chain.
What is that, Rye?
Hey, that's Greystone Pale Ale. Shout out to Wes Ward. Great beer.
There you go, Wes Ward, right here on the Waterfowl East podcast. Greystone Pale Ale. Where's that from?
Fredericton.
Oh, nice. Very good. got a little clip for the gram.
Excellent.
So, good little intro there, boys.
I think so too. That went really well.
Yeah.
I like the.
Yeah. That way we know.
Oh,
Big
So
time.
that's so we can align the sound from the.
you need one of those snap
yeah,
cards.
that's literally
That's
what
what you
that's
need.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
It's
that's what
to
you need.
align sound for the
Yeah.
camera.
Need to
and
level
the
up and get one of those.
Yep. Action.
Anyway, we're going to talk about bear hunting tonight because it's getting closer
And
to the
turkey
season. And I don't think we've really ever gave bear hunting a good go on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we've skimmed over it,
I think we
but
talked about it, but never in depth.
especially now where it's looking like Nova Scotia is going to get a spring season, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have a pilot season coming this year.
yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be a really good topic. I'm sure there's lots of guys there that maybe haven't bear hunted because they've got other things on the go, but now that they are going to allow a spring bear hunt, there'll be a lot more of those guys that will, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, good thing to get rolling with. So right off the bat, both of you boys are outfitters. I'm not an outfitter, but I've hunted bears for a long time. Used to work for an outfitter in co-op.
I remember. Yeah, you told me that. Craig's, wasn't it?
Craig's, yeah, that's how I got started
Yeah.
bear hunting, yeah.
They had a nice friggin' spot too.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Where were they? Must
They-
have been Heartland,
You-
was it?
No, no.
Up above Benton Deadwater on Eel River, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's still Eel.
so-
River.
almost-
That old Benton Deadwater, huh?
Almost to First Eel Lake is where they were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
on Eel River.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful
Ro-
spot.
What's that called? Rockland, or what's that called out there?
Kirkland.
Kirkland, yeah, not
Mhm.
Rockland. Where's Rockland?
Rockland's up above Heartland.
That's
Right.
where Scott. That's where
Yeah,
Scott
Scott.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, they were one of the last sort of surviving ones for quite a while, and then that kind of went to the wayside. So,
yeah,
but now it definitely seems like things are coming back around, eh?
yeah. First
you
big
know.
time.
There's with the new Outfitters Association, things are going well there, and it's a lot of excitement with that, and a lot of people getting involved now, which is what we need because, again, like I say, you read that Men of the Autumn Woods, and look at the pictures in there, and outfitting was a big deal then.
Yeah,
You know, used to be huge post-war. You know,
Yeah.
lots of people coming up on the train to come here, and North and Grand Lake had, you know, probably a dozen outfitters on there. You know, that were all
Yeah.
busy shooting deer and catching fish, and so that opportunity is not gone. It's still there. Maybe not with the deer, but
we get a pretty good concentration of outfitters in our area here. Like, there's a good amount.
There is. All the way from the north down. There's, like, you take Edmonton area, there's a few guys around there.
Well, I know, like, even from Debac, or Benton, you got 4 from Benton to my house.
Oh, yeah, down
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yep.
is
Well,
that right?
yeah. You got what's his name, Luke Weaver in
All right.
Benton.
I never
The
think of Luke.
Nistleys or whatever.
who?
Nisley, the
Okay, yeah. Yep.
Nistleys, and then there's another guy that has a camp right off the Dugan Road. You go out the service road, the highway road. You go out there a ways and then turn right. He's got a camp out there. I don't know. Is that Toma fella still guiding bear hunters? I wonder.
I haven't heard tell of him in a
Yeah,
while.
I don't know if he still is, but there's 3 and then 4 for myself. If he's there,
Yep.
and there's 5 right here between here and Benton, and there's a couple smaller guys out back. But
Yeah, there's definitely no shortage of bears still. But,
yeah,
So let's get into it, boys. Start off with, you know, we're going to kind of go through the process of start to finish, how you would find a spot, everything about it, how you would locate a spot, where you'd put a stand, you know, judging a bear, shot placement, tracking a bear, all of that stuff. So let's start off with, if you were starting out today, where or how would you choose a spot to put a bear bait? What do you look for? If you're looking on a map, if you're, you know, coming into a new piece of ground, what are you looking for to put a stand in?
A couple things. Accessibility. Pinch points.
What do you mean by accessibility?
Well, whether you can get to it. because you got to figure that a lot of your hunters coming up, maybe there's a mobility issue,
Or even just slinging bait into
or
it.
even just slinging bait. Yeah,
If you can't drive to it in a wheeler or side by side, you're dragging it or carrying it.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of my baits are either on a bike or with a truck. I got a pretty good mixture of both, just for any occasion.
Oh, you can drive right to it.
Some of them you can, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like some that I have on private property.
Oh, yeah.
So
Makes sense.
yeah,
See, I always kind of steered away from that personally, but I'm not running a whole bunch of baits only because
Yeah.
I felt like if I had it on a spot like that, there'd always be people into it. They just follow the trail, right?
well, most times when I say drive to it, like it would be probably 100 yards off the road. Like the road would grow in, it would still be on the old road.
Okay.
But I try to keep them in the open. First off, the good bears come in just before dark. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And as nice as that softwood ground is, it gets dark
Can't see shit.
30 minutes before anywhere else.
Yep.
So I try to stay out of it. I'd like to be on the edge of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to be in it.
Yeah, you don't need to be right directly in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's right.
If it's going to give you 30 minutes more daylight, they're going to come out.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially if you got a guy shooting a gun.
Yep.
Too, you know. As far as, so that's kind of placement, what you're looking for, and accessibility and things like that. But what type of, I mean, there's tons of woods here. Like, I remember when I started trapping, talking to some of the boys, I'm like, when you're going down the road and you're looking in the woods, like, what makes you stop and set a trap there for a fisher or whatever? Like, what are you looking for? What type of woods? So in this sense, for you guys, what type of woods kind of lights your heart on fire? You're like, oh, that'd be a good spot for a bait right there. Like, you know, everybody's kind of got their thing. I mean, some parcels of land that you hunt on might not have exactly what you're looking for, but your ideal piece of woods to put a bait in.
For me, I guess just starting out with finding bear baits. Obviously, you hit Google Earth or whatever. Biggest things I'm looking for are food sources, and I mean, food sources and natural travel areas. Like, obviously around here we get a lot of fields, so they like to eat corn and grain and stuff. And I'm looking for streams and brooks and beaver ponds. With that's kind of a natural travel area for bears. They like to go look for beaver and stuff. And I always want to have a good big chunk of softwood, swampy ground, softwood. I don't like hardwoods as much, although they do come out into it. And pretty much once I find that, I'll go in and look for a spot that's a decent opening. That's the second hardest part, because they do like dense, cool woods, swampy ground, and then to try to find a decent area that's somewhat open that you can actually see to shoot until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, the big thing there, like Wes mentioned, travel corridors.
Yeah.
That's what you need. Beaver ponds, everything crosses a beaver pond.
Yeah.
And brookways. They all walk them, and when it's hot in the summer, hot in the spring, they go lay there, roll in the moss. That's like the moss. When you smell the moss in the woods, like that's exactly what a bear smells like.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Because they lay in it all day. in the
That's
heat.
right.
If I could get a cologne that smelled like that,
You smell like Bigfoot's dick.
yeah, exactly. You take that moss and you flip it over and you get that
Yeah.
fresh earth scent.
Yeah.
Remember those little scent wafers you used to hang off your
I got
coat?
some cover scent.
Still got 'em.
Yeah, me too. I've still got a whole bunch of that. I love that smell.
Cedar or spruce?
Yeah, exactly. But I look for the same thing. Like there's at almost all of my baits over the years, there's always been a beaver pond near there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's just a place where it doesn't matter what game you're after, everything is going to be around that habitat.
Yeah.
The beaver comes in, he makes the habitat, especially when it's fresh.
Yeah.
When there's beavers working it, like, it's way better. Everything, for everything, whether it's waterfowl or bears or whatever.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say about a beaver pond that I do overlook, in the spring, I love to hear. Like, I like to be able to hear critters. If like a bear obviously is super, super quiet when they're coming into a bait, especially a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But some do make noise. Those fucking spring peepers in a pond will cancel. Like you,
Oh,
they
yeah.
can 100% deafen you
Yeah.
in a pond.
They're
Oh, yeah.
super loud.
Like you can't even hear yourself think if you're too close to one.
And you don't need to be right on the beaver pond anyway.
Now,
You just handy do it for travel.
I will say this about a beaver pond. Twice now, I've been hunting right on the edge of a beaver pond. One I shot when I was in living in Scott Siding, and the other one, I don't know if that's the one I shot at the Whistler or not. But both of those bears, the beavers splashed,
Splash.
bang, slapped their tail on that side of the pond, and then there he was. He just appeared, right? So I understand what you're saying. There's pros and cons.
There's pros and cons.
to be
yeah.
in there, but anytime I get to a beaver pond where there's fresh workings, I'm like,
Where do I put my bait?
it's on. Or if I've got a bait that I haven't run, but now there's beavers using that pond, I'm like, it's on. They're in there.
Another thing you got to watch out too for with those big beaver ponds and the big like the big opening is you can run into a lot of wind issues there, like swirling wind, and bears can access your scent pretty easily. The big ones, smaller ones don't care. I had one on right within sight of a beaver pond once, and a beaver was actually working on cutting a tree, and a small young bear, probably 150 pounds, tried to kill it. I saw the beaver, it was probably out of the water 10 feet, cutting a tree down, and it just took off into the water, and a young bear came right in the water behind it, right on top.
Really?
Like it tried to jump, it jumped right in the water on its back. It never got it, but friggin' close. That was pretty cool to see. And that's the only bear bait I saw a coyote on too. I've never seen a coyote on a bear bait, like with my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
I don't think.
Gotten trail camera
I
pictures.
don't recall.
I don't even get many camera pictures of them.
No,
honestly.
no. I got my first trail cam picture of a bobcat on a bait.
I get more pictures of Martin and Fisher.
Fisher, Martin.
Holy
all the time.
smokes.
Yeah.
You would up your area,
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get pictures of those guys, and then I got my first bobcat. Moose.
Yep.
You have
Yeah.
moose
Lot of
walking through your
moose.
baits
Every
all the
bait.
time.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you'll see, geez, that's a nice bear, and then
Yeah.
a friggin' moose comes in and is like 10 feet tall.
That's half my scouting for before September.
Exactly. They
Yep.
they cohabitat a lot of the same places.
Yeah, I leave a lot of my cameras out for the
Yep.
fall.
100%. Man, I've had some friggin' banger moose on
Yep.
trail cameras around those swamps and big softwood timber areas like that. They friggin' love it.
The other thing I kind of like about beaver ponds is, depending on where you put your bear stand, like it can be a pretty boring night if there's
Oh, yeah.
nothing going on and nothing to look at. But if you're near an active beaver pond,
It's busy.
there's friggin' ducks swimming around there.
It's amazing how busy
Yeah.
one of those little ecosystems are.
It's
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, the beaver is the only critter that makes its own habitat. But when the pond is fresh and he's in there working, it's like it's got a big welcome sign. There's always ducks in there messing around, and there's always
Kingfisher flying
kingfishers
around. Yeah.
flying around. There's beavers ramming back and forth. Like if you're sitting there, cranes. If you're sitting there and you can see it, it keeps you entertained. If you're going to do a long sit,
Yep.
it's just neat because those are things that normally you wouldn't be sitting there watching that.
Yep.
You know, maybe you're in there trout fishing if it's on a brook or something, but normally you wouldn't sit and see that stuff, right?
That's another thing that'll block out the sound. I had one of my baits on a good sized beaver pond. Well, it wasn't right beside it, but a ways from it. And it was a good sized beaver pond, and it had probably 100 or 125 geese on it. Holy shit, they're loud. Just a never ending racket. And that was a good bait there. It had a humongous dam, and everything walked across it. Moose, deer, bear, all types of four-legged critters. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I always that's what I always looked for. I just feel like beaver ponds are good travel ways for bears. Like, you don't want it too wet in there. You don't want there to be standing water. But those areas, especially if maybe it's a new pond and there's still lots of dry ground, but it's soft.
Damp, mossy ground.
Yeah, those are the areas that I always looked for. And I mean, you know, there's tons of those places around, really.
Yeah. With enough high ground they can stay from not being, like you said, in standing water. Damp, moist, ground,
But
but not soaked.
the little things like what you talked about, Ryan, those aren't things that people think of, right? Like, hey, you could have your bait 60 yards in there and be right on the edge of the pond. But if you back up here out into these popple or these birch, number one, anytime I could get my barrel next to like popple or birch or a lightly colored tree,
Yeah.
if I was off the pond and on like an old tote road or something, that's where I always did it and always put my crib because it was just way more bright in there, right?
Yep.
It's like painting the inside of your garage white. It's just
Brightens it up.
gonna be whiter or lighter as a result. So, those little golden nuggets like that can make or break. You know, you got a bear that wants to come out later. You've got a sow that's got a boar that's hanging back in the woods, and it's like, frag, I got like 15 minutes, and in another 5 minutes, I'm not going to be able to see, even though it's still light. And that's a big disadvantage of bow hunting is that, you know, you can't see through your peep sight.
Yeah.
You're done, right? You can't make a good shot. So little things like that are all considerations. Anything else on that, like as far as where, like what kind of terrain?
No, they're pretty consistent on that.
Yeah, me too. I think we'd all
think
be in agreement.
I think you want to make sure for bears to actually live there, which is kind of what you want. You want definitely a good sized patch of woods with it.
Yeah.
Or near to your bait. I mean, they'll travel quite a ways for food, but
Yeah.
they need a good sized chunk of woods. Like you can find the right patch of woods in a bunch of fields and stuff, but if it's not real big, then you won't get bears actually living in it.
Now,
So.
do you guys have? I don't recall ever doing this myself, but do you guys? I know that outfitters in the past have talked to me about putting baits in hardwoods, more so for the fall season. Have you guys ever done that? I've never had a bait.
I've got probably 30 baits in the hardwoods.
Yeah.
Yep. I've killed some really good bears out of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier travel, maybe.
Easier travel. The hunters can see through the wood easier.
Yeah.
Good for gun hunters.
Yeah, find like old skitter trails and stuff that are traveled. I've got one bait in particular I can think of. I've got 4 or 5 like trophy class bears that are on it every year.
Yes, sir.
We killed a couple of them last year, but there's some nice bears. Like one I call him Hercules. Like he's enormous, and he's right in the middle of the hardwoods. Travels it 3 times a week.
So do you think he's going, like if you look at the lay of the land there on Google Earth, do you think he's traveling maybe from one pond to another? Is he consistent doing that?
Yeah, he's going he switches from food to ladies.
Yeah.
But when he's going on food, he's traveling from agriculture up over a mountain to just woods, basically.
Big woods.
Yeah, big woods.
Yeah, I've got some in the hardwoods, but they're all bordered by the right type of woods, like the softwood and swamps and stuff. But I mean, my baits are back far enough that they're in the hardwoods so you can see.
I feel like
Get an open shot.
bears and bear hunting, like as far as baiting goes, like people don't talk about that enough. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, you just find a piece of woods that you like and throw a bait in it.
Well,
Sure.
a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people go down an old road and kick a barrel out and say, hey, that's great. And most times it is.
You'll get a bear on it.
That's
They
right.
They travel.
They travel. But a lot of times you got to give consideration to, first off, your wind, obviously. You're not going to beat a bear's nose. It's the best in the woods.
Yeah.
And the second thing is sunrise and sunset. People don't think about that.
Yeah, you're gonna have the sun in your face the
Yep.
whole evening, or
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So that brings me up to the next thing I had written down was bait placement. You found your spot. You're looking around. I think all of us could agree that you have that certain type of lane or area, or you find your tree first, or you find your spot where you want to put your bait first. Sometimes it's different. How do you guys do it? You found your area. Where do you put your bait? How do you pick your exact spot to put your barrel?
All my barrels are attached to trees.
Yeah.
I don't have any roller barrels. I don't have any loose barrels for the bears to swat around on the ground, which some guys do. Mine are all fastened to a pretty fair tree, and I run a piece of 2x4 in the back side of the barrel, like in the barrel, and then my ropes go around it, because them bears will pull that plastic right out, no problem.
Oh yeah.
So I put a piece of wood in there, and then I usually find my bait tree first. especially if I'm hunting ground blind. If I'm hunting a tree stand, then I'll make sure that I have a good tree for my tree stand first. So it just depends on my blind setup.
So what differentiates between whether you're going to put a ground blind or a tree stand?
Most times, the size of the wood, if it's been cut over.
That's another thing that's hard in New
Yeah.
Brunswick is to find a tree bigger than 6 inches.
Well, that's just it. So, like, I got a couple baits in particular that are only tree stand baits. But I'm working my way to a lot of like ground blinds. But some guys don't like to hunt out of a ground blind. It's completely their preference.
It's way more successful.
I've had a lot come that were dead against it, and I told them to try it for one night, and now they're pro ground blind, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially when you get a week of rain.
Yeah.
No fun sitting in a tree stand.
No.
Yeah, it's way safer too. If you
It is,
your
yeah.
guys on the ground.
Yep.
Yep. And it keeps their scent down. Because like I said, Ryan was saying, you won't beat a bear's nose, period.
That's right.
If he circles downwind of you, you are done. At least if you're I'll get in a ground blind and I always kick up leaves and debris along the bottom too to block out anything there.
Yep.
I only open one window so you can't get a cross breeze. And as far as after finding the general area where I think bears live, and I've scouted and said, okay, yeah, bears live here. For me, my next thing is to find just something with the wind right and then the right opening, and then I go from there. I mean, once I find that spot, I look for a big enough tree.
Yeah.
Which is a friggin' struggle around here, believe it or not.
Yeah, I agree. It's always a struggle to find a tree. The wind is and the sun is definitely something that I like to try to, and sometimes it's not always ideal. Like maybe you've got a tree on one side that's better for your stand, but the sun's going to be bad or the wind's going to be bad. So you have to take those things into account. But I'm much like you. I always I like to find my tree for my barrel first because I tie mine up too, and then I like to have a cribbing there too.
Yep.
To just kind of, once I get my bait there, then I look.
Well, he can't sneak around the tree behind you. He's got to come broadside.
Oh,
You know, that is an issue. Like,
man, those big ones will come in, and if they can pull that barrel over or they could stand facing on, they know that.
Yes,
they're
they do.
into that every day. They're
They'll
nobody's
stand there and eat and look at you.
Yep.
Yeah, so that just kind of forces them to square up.
Yep. Fair enough.
Broadside or quartering. So put a little work in, and I just love that.
The cribbing.
I just love the whole thing. I just like baiting. I like it about as much as scouting.
Yeah, it's fun.
For geese. Yeah, I just love the whole finding a spot and.
Well, it's
getting
the
them
best
coming.
time of year to be in the woods, man. You've just spent all winter playing with your dink, doing nothing, and it's like, man, I can get outside and do something.
Well,
Like,
spring's very much like fall, right? Like it feels like fall out there today.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice and cool. There's no bugs. You can just go out, and it's just good to be outside again.
But we're spoiled too because we've had a spring bear hunt here for years.
Yeah.
It's great to see Nova Scotia getting one.
Yeah.
Or a pilot anyway. Hopefully that works into something.
Yeah.
For them annually, but Maine only does a fall hunt.
Yeah,
That really benefits us.
It does. There's no question.
I have a lot of baits right on the Maine border.
Well, ours are these two zones, right? 10 and 15 jeepers. Those are the ones we're hunting in. So,
But I'll tell you another thing, boys, that I give quite a bit of consideration to. We talk about wind, is in the spring of the year, or even in the fall, with any of my moose stands. You get a low pressure system come in. You get a southeast or a southwest wind, right? So if I have a ladder stand where my predominant wind is northwest, sometimes I'll set certain baits up so I can put a pop up for a good wind on like a southeast or a southwest.
Yeah.
Depending on my baits, if we get like a rainy week.
yeah, I think it's always just good practice to be able to in that situation.
Well, if all your baits are set up for northwest, right? You're just
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
how
Or it's not
many
gonna be
northwest winds do we have this fall?
Yeah, not many.
Yeah, so
So when you think about that too, there's the odd chance that you get a bear that's been around for a while. They live for a while, and he's got on to a guy, and you want to
Change it up.
Say, we're not going in the stand. We're going to put you back here with a gun out of the way.
Yep.
Or whatever. Just put you in a different
Must be
spot
nice.
on the on the ground, on the ground, and get you out of that stand. So those are also things to consider too. Because I mean, again, like, can you pretty much stop anywhere here and throw a bait in the woods and get a bear? Yes, you could, but you can do better.
Oh, 100%.
You can do better. You can have more bears coming, and you can make those bigger bears feel more comfortable to stop in rather than walking by and going, I'm not going out there.
Yep.
Until after dark.
It's crazy to think that I've done this. Me and Dad have done this. We've been driving around in the woods. Be like, we're going to put just a 5-gallon pail of bait out right here. Right on, like, the edge of the main road. Come back the next morning and it's tipped over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy that the population density of bears we have here.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I remember back when I started, say, I don't know, 20 years ago, I mean, it would take, on a new bait, it would take sometimes 2 weeks before it would even get hit.
Yep.
And I mean, my barrels are always standing up. I put a sheet of plywood or a cover and a giant rock on it. So it's nothing else but a human or a bear knocking it over. It's too big for anything else. And it could be 2 weeks. Now, man, you throw a bait out, if it's not hitting the first week, like, I would be shocked.
Yep.
It's usually the next day or two.
Yep.
Like, and baits that you already have. I mean, the first time I go in and bait for the year, there's bear tracks already there.
Yeah.
Like, they're waiting for you. It's insane.
One problem we have with that light bait that we use is birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So birds, the trick to them is putting a piece of string over your, like, hole
Yeah.
on your barrel. They won't go in. One piece of string dangling in the wind, they won't go in.
Is that right?
Yep.
Huh.
Do you put lids on your barrel?
Yeah, they're all those snap ring barrels.
Yeah, I put lids
And
on
you
mine.
tie them up solid.
Yep.
So what do they got to do? Stick their paw in?
Yep.
Okay.
Dig it out.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing a little different with a lot of my baits this spring. I actually got a pretty large amount of beaver carcasses.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be tying beavers up at all the baits.
Beaver's number one.
It's number one. There's no question. I seen some guys in Alberta actually had like a racking system in their 55-gallon drum they'd sit in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the oils and stuff would drip down. But I'm actually going to try tying them up.
Yeah, just build a box.
Yep.
The best thing I ever did is I put roller barrels out. It's just got a 2-inch hole for like the small bait. I'll throw a chunk of beaver in there with it. Holy frig, they'll roll the paint right off that barrel.
Yep.
First night, just they can smell it, but they can't really get it.
Yep.
And you only need a chunk that big, but it comes out on every piece of bait they roll out. It's on it, and they friggin' love it.
Over the years, you've done it a lot of different ways. Like when I started with Craig's, like they had barrels of all sizes. They had like the small barrels, and then they had 50-gallon drums, and they had some that were cut down, and they did try lots of different stuff like that, but the premise was that all of them had to be knocked over basically to get the bait out, and they would bait like every day.
Yep.
And I started out doing that, baiting like every day, like to be there baiting every day. And then as we went along, we started baiting less, but with more. We would put way more out.
Yep.
And then a couple of years ago, I put like 10 barrels out and filled them. And
That's what they do out west.
yeah, and that's
Yeah, but they got 50 bears on a bait too.
Yeah, but that's
Some
why
of
though.
yeah.
I've done that before. That year the corn truck flipped over.
Mm.
My goal was for there to never at any point ever not be bait there for anything to eat. And I lost count after 24 bears. I couldn't keep track of how many were there.
I like that. I like that idea. But it's a lot of rigging, and
It's
and,
too-
and
yeah.
I like the plastic barrels, but you definitely have to have some infrastructure like what you're doing, putting
Yeah.
up, like basically tying them right to the. You tie them or you screw them to the tree.
Tie them.
You tie them.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
tie them with
screw them.
that fishing rope around back.
Yeah.
And then, but the trick is with that, you can tie all the barrels you want, but if you don't have that piece of 2x4 or a piece of cut off alder that's 2 inches in diameter to go down through those two pieces of rope, they're going to pull it out through the plastic.
Yeah.
You got to have that in there because that acts like the tree, right?
They can destroy a plastic barrel.
Yeah, on the inside.
On the inside.
Yeah, you cut the holes and then put that on the
Yes.
inside and tie the rope around it. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, my lids all flop off, so I can just put the piece down through the top, right?
Yep. Yeah, because, I mean, that's my goal really, too, is I don't ever want there to... I used to be, well, I just put a little bit out and then I'll come back. But I like there to be... If there's a bear that comes through, I want there to be something to eat there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I miss the days when we used to have lard
Yeah.
because, you know, I used to friggin' fill my truck back when Atlantic Inns had lard. Fill the truck full of that lard, and then you could punch holes down in it. And if you wanted to put molasses and stuff down in it, and then smooth the top over and whatever. I mean, and then you know, cut holes in the side of the pail and tie a rope through. And you knew if you couldn't get there for a few days that they'd be there. They would eat that, right?
Yep.
But now that loose grease is so messy. It works.
It's messy and makes your truck bed slippery. There's nothing more slippery
It's
than
so
that.
hard to wash off.
It is. And, you know, it serves a purpose. Yeah, they track it all through the woods and through their trails. Yeah, yada, yada. But they're no fun to skin when they're covered in that oil and,
No.
you know, all
It's
that
not the
stuff.
same.
No.
It's not the same.
No.
When we used to have lard, when people used to eat healthy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the best. So, and I mean, you'd never find anybody cooking with that much. I don't even think you'd find a bakery that would have that much, you know, anymore, unfortunately. But we started to kick into another thing I had wrote down about like stink bait or type of bait to start with. What do you like to use for bait? I always like to use, if I could get my hands on them, obviously sweets were great, but they're heavy.
Yep.
Unless you can drive to your stand, and man, it's a lot of weight to carry, you know.
Yeah. When I first started,
Bread.
It was bread and grease and molasses, and then the butcher shops would call you when they butchered their cattle, and you go with a flatbed and collect them. And I don't miss those days of rolling 45-gallon drums of cow guts off the back
No, me neither.
at all.
No. I used to always use meat.
Yeah, and I don't. I hardly use it at all. And like I got some beaver this year, so I know a lot of the bears will be shocked when they see it on the baits.
Yeah, I used to buy it from cars. I'd buy bags of bait.
Yep.
That was like 2003.
Yep.
For 3-4 years there. That's all we used, and then we started getting onto some popcorn there. Could get that from the theater, and once you start using that lighter bait that doesn't stink,
Yep.
and
Yeah, you get spoiled with it.
yeah, I mean it's good. It goes a long ways. They can't grab it and run away like.
But they do go stale on it. I think it's good to keep a rotation of bait.
Oh, for
personally.
yeah. No, it's to keep a smorgasbord of stuff around.
Yep.
You know.
So corn, grain, molasses, peanut butter, frosting. It's
Yeah.
all good stuff.
That molasses that you get from like the co-op,
Yep.
that stuff is strong.
Yeah.
When they get that on, like we talk about grease and them spreading that around, you're right. When you get a bear that's been around grease and it's all over the ground, they've got that. Especially the young ones, they've got that all over themselves.
Yeah.
That and
Right.
burdocks.
And you and you guys are gonna have a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it has its place. I get it, but man, when you put that molasses out and they get into that, like that smells to us.
Yeah.
Imagine how that smells to them. You know.
The other thing I did, I think I got 10 barrels left. When I used to get truckloads of old bread, Dad and I mixed a whole bunch of 45-gallon drums with molasses, like, hamburger and hot dog buns and all that stuff. So it's been sitting for years, and it's just like, it's like the ultimate. Like, I can't even describe how good it is. Like, it's the shit if you're a bear. They love it.
Yeah.
And I'm down to like 10 barrels, but I don't get much bread anymore. So
Yeah, that used to be the jam, eh? Like
Yeah.
once I switched away from meat, it was bread,
yeah,
and used to go to Ben's and get trays of bread, and it was popular. Like everybody was buying it. We used to spend tons of money on bait.
And that's only on one bait or two.
yeah.
When you're running 50, whew.
Yeah. You definitely need a lot, and it's hard to come by that much. And have it be affordable, right? Because there's all kinds of farms around that want that stuff too.
Yeah.
Quebec
Yeah.
and stuff, those hog farms.
Hog
So-
farms, yep.
So,
Well, and that's the thing. Like with Ben's now, if you want to get a contract with Ben's, you've got to
Take it all.
take it all.
Yep.
Like they do it with like pig farmers and stuff.
and that makes sense.
It's a rotation. Like
Yeah.
they'll be, well, this pig farmer's got to get this week's bread,
Yep.
and you got to take whatever they got. And I mean, you're talking about a damn huge trailer load
Yep.
every other week or whatever. If they
Well, it only makes sense on their part, right?
well, yeah, they can't have. Oh, well, I only want one stack.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you got to take her all or nothing. And so they'll have a rotation of farmers. They'll say 5 of them. So every 5 weeks, you got to go and get like an entire trailer load, basically, because Ben's like in the Atlantic Canadian.
Hmm.
I mean, you're talking damn near a tractor trailer load is what you would have to come and pick up. It would be your share, and I mean, every 2 or 3 weeks, like.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, you'd have to have a friggin' yard, 25 trucks to store it if you're going to be a bear hunter. Which you could. I mean, it could be a lucrative business if you wanted to, if you had a place to store it, keep it good, and then sell it to other people.
Yep.
But I mean, the problem with their shit is it's all bagged.
Yeah.
You got to take everything out
You'd
of
have to have a full-time unbagger.
If you get all caramels or any of those things like that, you got to take them out of the box and out of the individual package. It's like, geez. And with 50 baits, an entire tractor trailer load, like, it's
Yeah.
too much.
yeah, that's a lot. It's not ideal. That's not you guys can't do that, right? It's way
But-
too much work.
But bait's where it's at now. Like that's it's not like it used to be. Everyone paying big dollars for bait
Big
now,
money,
and
man. Well, you were saying the other day someone paid 10 grand for bait.
yep.
Honestly, I don't know if 10 grand would be enough with
10
that stuff to do the whole season. I
It
don't think
wouldn't
it
ru-
would
it
be.
wouldn't
Not the
ru-
way I like to bait.
It wouldn't run me.
No, like I bait twice a week. I've got 2 barrels on each bait. One is a roller barrel that will trickle out bait, and I fill it twice a week. And then the other main barrel is filled also, and I fill a lot of corn because they love the corn, and then the bread, and I have a bit of bread and sweets and stuff like that, and then cheesies and things.
You mix
for
that,
filler.
that dried corn with molasses. They just love that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be out guaranteed right now digging up. There's probably tons of bears out now.
Yeah.
In them old cornfields,
Yep,
it should be.
digging up that corn. I mean, it's a great food source for them, and there's tons of corn that never got plowed, right? Every year. So they're out 2 months early right now jamming that
Yeah.
high calorie food.
I cruised the cornfield there the other day. There must have been where the bears had knocked it down in the fall. Holy frig! There was probably an entire trailer load of corn there, like still on the ground. So they're going to be doing well in this spot.
Yeah.
This will be a good early season bait.
Yeah. So when you start your baits at the start of the year, like we just kind of touched on the stink bait or those beaver boxes, Scott's built a few of them to put a beaver in, and with a lattice all the way around the sides of it or whatever so that the air can get through it, and then you tie it up in a tree with a beaver in it. How do you guys like to start your baits? Do you like them to stink, or do you just start baiting?
I like a stink bait.
If you get any stink bait, that's the time to start them.
I'll start my baits with fryer grease. That I'll dump a pail of that on the ground just to track it out. And I like to put my meat in a burlap sack, toss a rope up over a tree branch, and then suspend it. That way they can't get it. And that way it actually stinks for a while. And beaver I'll throw in a roller barrel just to get it smelling around there. But yeah, I don't keep a stink bait once the bait gets rolling good. But initially I'll put it out until they start coming. But I mean, you don't even need to do that now. The bears are just crazy. They're there within a couple days.
And when we say beaver, that's skinned beaver.
Yes.
Whole furred beaver do not work.
No.
They're not the same. They don't have the oil drip from them or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if you see them on the side of the road, if you're not going to skin them, drive past them.
Or at least chunk it up.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to skin it, but if you can freeze it or partially freeze it and then chunk it up, that's what I do. I chunk them up.
Beavers are the best bait for everything.
Oh yeah, they're
You're
good.
gonna trap. Everything wants to catch and eat them. So
Yeah.
Yeah. What about burns or anything like that when you got hunters coming in?
I've never done a honey burn or anything like that, but I know a few guys that do them and they swear by them.
I love a good burn. Sometimes I'd take like an apple juice can.
Yep.
And the reason that I like it is because if the bears are coming, yes, they're coming. Does it bring them any better? I don't know. But I do know this.
Good cover scent.
If my neighbor a mile down the road is barbecuing, I can smell it.
Yep, that's right.
And it smells damn good. I'm like, oh, somebody's barbecuing. We smell it all summer, right? So in that aspect, when I think, okay, here's a creature that when they wake up every day, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I got to find something to eat all the time to survive. When they smell that fresh, maybe it's not even a bear that's coming there. Maybe he's just cruising by. And that's a fresh, strong scent that day in there. So I always just felt like, one,
It makes sense.
it's a good cover scent. And two, it just makes sense that if everything in the area is going to go, ooh, I was thinking of going across the road tonight, but I'm going to go in there and check that out, see what that smell is. You're going to follow your nose if you're a creature that depends on that, right?
Yep.
And you're down in the woods. You know, guys have talked about, have you ever heard about guys turning on propane and just allowing that smell to go in the woods?
No.
Not even lit?
No,
That's a thing.
really.
Yeah. Yeah. I never ever did like the sterno can in the ground. I wasn't keen on that. I didn't want an open flame
No.
there all the time. I know
Around a big grease pit where your barrel is.
Yeah, I know guys that have done
How
that.
to start a forest fire 101.
Yeah, I know guys that
Step one.
And realistically, that's how when most people talk about a honey burn, like that's what they talk about. Putting that sterno can in the ground and putting the can on it. Like I've never been about that, but I do like a nice Graves apple juice can. Graves.
I'm more of an Allen's man.
No, it's got to be Graves.
Which one's yellow?
Graves.
Graves. Yeah, that's my favorite.
I have no idea.
Allen's the blue one.
Allen's is the only thing I could think of. I used to do honey burns and stuff and molasses and stuff, but now with 50 baits, it's too much time.
Yeah, I would only do them when I'm hunting. I don't do them any other time. But
I'm more of I get a lot of like Pro Expedition cover scent sprays, like oily sprays, and I do that a lot.
yeah. I think it has value. I mean,
Oh yeah.
so if you when I first started doing them, like everybody's talking about honey. Well, there's more stuff that smells stronger than honey. Like
Yep.
the strongest scent. If you talk to most any baker, they'll tell you that cinnamon is the strongest scent, and it's cheap if you go to the right spots and get
Yep.
it right.
Well, you get that. What's the other? Vanilla is a good one too, and
Vanilla.
anise oil.
Anise oil.
Anise oil.
Anus oil.
Yeah, it smells like liquor. Black licorice.
Yeah.
Black licorice, yeah. So you get them. I always like to use. I don't like to burn molasses because it actually burns.
Yeah.
Doesn't smell. It just burns to the bottom. And if you get too much cinnamon, it burns to the bottom too. So you got to be careful. Put it in there and then stir it around. And as long as you don't get it too hot, it'll smoke good there for a while and smell really nice for quite a while. So I don't know. When I think about that, I'm like, I just remember when Ben's Bakery used to be there. Like, there was days that we could almost smell that from the house
Oh yeah, definitely.
if the wind was right. You know what I mean? And I don't know. For me, when I think about a bear or an animal that relies heavily on its nose because they can't really see that well.
Yeah. I don't have the time to do a honey burn on everyone,
I'd like to try it.
Oh yeah, it's
You
fun
should.
to do. It's good for video.
A soup can works fine,
Oh,
like a good sized
Chunky
Campbell's soup
chunky
can.
soup.
That works, and I just always just I just nail them to the tree and then pull them out to the end of the nail, and you just make sure that you don't put too much in it, but enough, and then just don't get it too hot, and make sure you're back because it'll boil a bubble.
It's a really good thing to do with your hunters too. They love it.
Yeah,
They eat that right out.
yeah. I mean, it works.
Well, it makes sense.
It works. I'm here to tell you, it works.
If you don't have, and that some of that cover scent stuff, or like not cover scent, but that scented stuff is super expensive to buy. For the longest time, I would take and put in a spray bottle like a quarter of molasses or an eighth of it,
Yeah.
and then hot water in it, and then shake it up and mix it around. And I will start spraying that from the time I leave the truck until I get to the bait, just all over the place. Just spraying it, and spray your hunters with it too. That freaks them out pretty good. They love it. Just start shooting with the scent.
I'm definitely a big fan of smell.
Oh yeah,
Good smell.
100%.
Like I don't mind the stink, but I don't want it there all year. I don't
No.
want to be sitting on top of that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like once it's good and I feel like I want to start hunting, personally, I take it out of there.
I haven't run stink bait in a while. I don't find I need it anymore.
Yeah.
The bears are just, there's so many of them.
Yeah. I like there to be some sort of scent broadcasting almost all the time.
Well, the bait smells. They can smell everything.
Yeah.
But I like the sweet. If it smells good to you, I mean, think how good it smells to them.
Yeah. And I mean, the bait that we used to use smelled better because I used a lot more molasses. But
Yeah.
now with what we use, there's not as much scent to that. You know, I don't think. I mean, not what there used to be.
No.
Like when we used to bait with meat, like there was a lot of smell from that meat.
It stinks.
Even like I bought it frozen, and I put it in there, but even still, as soon as that heated up, like it smelled.
Yep.
But, you know, I want it to smell like a bakery in there. I just, that's such a good example. Like, literally, they could be a mile down the road, and as soon as they crack that on and it starts heating up, or somebody's got their smoker going, like, you can smell it a long ways away.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think it's more than a novelty. It's not a requirement, but I think it works.
Mm.
It's nice to talk to other outfitters too, because everyone does a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not a lot. Sometimes it's just a minor tweak you can do that you never know might improve something you do, right?
I like to use honey, vanilla, and cinnamon. That other stuff, you can use it. It's expensive, though.
Mm.
And you can get large quantities of vanilla for cheaper than the other stuff. That anise oil is good. It's a good smell, and it's quite strong. It's just hard to get it in bulk. And anytime I ever burned with that, that's all I did. Because I found that regardless of if you put other stuff in it, that black licorice smell is so strong. That's all you smelled anyway.
Yep.
So I just kept the other stuff. But I put my honey in, I put cinnamon in it, and I stir it around so that it doesn't burn to the bottom. And then I put some vanilla in there, and then I really stir it around. If I want to add a little bit more cinnamon, you can. But, you don't have to put a ton. And once you get that going, geez, it smells good. But
I did buy some of that Pro Expedition
Yeah.
stuff, some of the jams and the jellies.
yeah, I
Just
think
to try
It's
it,
the
I
stuff
bought.
you put out like a paste almost, or like a gel.
Well, it's literally like a
It's not
gel.
the spray.
Like it's a 4-liter.
Yeah,
I
but
bought-
you didn't get the spray, or did you get? Some
No, I didn't
scent?
buy the spray. I bought the
Yeah.
jelly. I bought like 30 jugs of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So I'm gonna try it. See
Yeah.
how it works.
What about we talked about stand placement, I guess, didn't we?
Yeah.
And most times with that, you guys are saying that it's mostly like, I remember back in the day they were all built. Nobody ever had one.
That's still a thing. Like I got a good buddy who they build most of their blinds.
Yeah, I built more tree
And I'm gonna
stands.
try it this year and see. I'm gonna do it. They just build brush blinds
Oh yeah,
right on the ground.
yeah. We
Yeah.
did that, but we built a lot of tree stands.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you I built that year. I graduated in 2002, so that would have been the spring of 2002. I can't tell you. I must have built 30 tree stands because they all needed rebuilt. Like that was part of my project.
Problem is now you can't freaking buy it. You can't build one cheaper than you can buy one of those
Yeah,
ladder stands.
Well, you
Great.
get on crown land too. You can't use nails, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
but the pop-up blinds are so easy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Like you can buy them. I just ordered, I think, a dozen, and you can pop them up in like 2 minutes. And I try to keep them popped up, and if we got 2 or 3 nice days every week, I pop them up and let them air out. So if we do need them,
I'd love to go back to some of those spots and see if they're still still standing. Like
half of them are probably cut.
Yeah.
probably. You're probably right. Yeah,
That goes back to that. It's hard to find a tree bigger than 6 inches.
It was all like rough milled lumber that we'd use, and you know, you'd find a tree that had like, you know, the traditional like 4 trees or 3 trees coming up, and then you never built the ladder. You built it on the tree, right?
Yep.
People climbed up. I'm like, holy shit. You know, it's so much safer to have guys on the ground, or you know, and you get guys climbing up in trees, falling asleep or falling, or So we've figured out our spot. We figured out where we're going to put our bait barrel, where we're going to put our stand, and why. And we talked about what we use for bait, how you start a bait. Now, what about when a bear comes out? What do you guys tell people about judging them?
So that right there is the number one hardest animal to judge in North America.
Yeah, even Jim Shockey agrees with that.
Second off, that's why I tie my barrels.
Yeah.
They're a good judging thing.
Yeah.
I give a pretty detailed crash course when everyone lands at the lodge about judging. I have, 15 or 20 trail camera printouts for people to look over and tell me whether that's a shooter or not a shooter. 85% of the people fail. So they get the correction, and it has made a difference.
A lot of ground shrinkage.
A lot of ground shrinkage, yep. But you know what? As long as it's not 80 or 90 pounds, if it's, 140, 150 pound bear and they're happy, that's not really what I want harvested. I want mature boars harvested, but
they don't have big antlers on their heads.
That's right. They're hard to judge, and ground shrinkages burn a lot of people, but as long as they're happy with their trophy and their bear.
So here's something that I was thinking about that. Now, because it used to be, like, again, when I was doing that co-op thing, they had like a box full of VHS tapes.
Yep.
With bear hunts on them. But like, there was no visual there to really show anybody like, this is a big bear, this is a small bear. You know, it was a lot of messing around. Now with the opportunity we have with our phones to film and stuff like that.
Yep.
If you were doing a lot of ground hunting, I wondered if there'd be value for you guys to have like almost like damn near like an orientation.
100%. I give an orientation, just no video. But that's would 100%
come
help.
in and sit down. Like here's this view from a normal distance from all our stands. Okay, here's a dink bear. Okay, you can see the size difference. This is actually, it's almost like wearing a VR helmet. Like, this is what you're gonna see. Now here's a bear that's a definite shooter. You know, it's a definite shooter. It's a good bear. Now here's a bear that's a friggin' monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of being there with your phone on a tripod or whatever to get that good quality footage and then be able to show guys. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to make the right decision.
No, that's right.
But to have the consistent barrel being tied up, right?
Yeah.
Method of measurement right there. You know.
See, that's it. You got a loose barrel and they come in and knock it over. Well, there's half of your measuring stick gone, right?
Because I know that that's a challenge. Like, if you're not ever around black bears and you never see them and you never hunt them.
They all look big because their fur is so thick.
Yeah. As soon as they come in, it's just,
most new hunters would 99% of the time they're going to shoot a 180 pound bear every time. Like a 180. 150, some of them might get it right. Probably not. But like 99% will shoot a 180 pound bear.
Yeah, if them ears look like coffee cups on there, then it's too small.
Yeah.
You know, ears, crease in the head, length of the body, height of the shoulder. It's all stuff. Length is where you get your weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if that bear is 6 feet high and 2.5 feet long. He's still not going to be as big as one that's
7 feet long.
That's right. He needs the length to get the weight.
3 feet tall at the back and 7 feet long.
Yeah.
And a big mature boar looks like a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
you can see from the back of the shoulders forward that the bear has a big chest, big muscular shoulders, right up to
front arms,
big front forearms, long neck with a big head and a big crease in there, small ears, wide on the, looked like he's wearing them on the sides of his head.
And they walk different.
And they walk different. And, you know, when you look at that from the back of the shoulders forward and you say, okay, I'm going to look at this part of the animal, and you judge his head, and there's a visible crease. Like when a bear that comes in that's over 300 pounds, like there's no question. No question.
Yeah, there's not a hunter that like a new hunter that's only been once or twice, or that's their first, a 300-pound bear. They're going to be shitting bricks because they're going to
But that's the other thing. You say a 300-pound bear. I've killed lots of 300-pound bears, but when you look at the hunter's video, they're still 8 inches of barrel above their back.
Yeah.
But they're long. They're ridge bears out where we kill them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're 305, 310 pounds.
Yeah.
But when you look at them, they got a nice sagging belly. They got a nice big head on them, long
and
neck.
they look
like you said.
gigantic.
They do look big, and they are big.
And they are big.
310 pounds, 305 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a big bear.
That's a big animal.
And it's one of those things you can't always go by height. So you gotta. That's why I try to give them as many tools as they can to put in their belt to make the proper decision.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, sometimes, like I know, Wes, you've said, you get guys judge them the other way. Oh, geez, had a bear come in. Decent bear, and it's like, jeepers, man.
Yep.
I just shot that all day. That's a monster. Oh, really? Like, frig, you know. And then the next
first night.
Yeah, and then the next guy shoots one.
First
That's
night.
the worst.
Always the first night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when the big guys will come in. They'll make that one mistake first night, and they go, "Yeah, I think I had a good one in there."
Show me the video.
I took a video of him there. I'm like, good land, dude. That's like a 350-pound bear.
Yeah.
You just walk in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll shoot him tomorrow, and then he never comes back.
And then he never comes
that
back.
was your chance.
And that's another thing. Like, the nice thing about the spring season, doesn't matter what you hunt, whether it's, you know, moose or deer or whatever. When you hunt big game, you want to hunt it in the rut.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about the spring hunt, that's when the bears rut.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this year, it'll be the last week of May and the first 3 weeks of June will be peak. And, you know, it never fails that 130, 150-pound sow comes out. She'll start eating at the bait.
It's the 180-pound sow.
And that's the one they
150.
they arrow. And then here comes the boar out behind her
that
after she's been spiked.
Yeah,
Well,
literally.
So you got to give them an education on everything, you know, and it's rightfully so.
and it's still not going to work 90%.
No. It's made a considerable difference in our kill. There's no question. Shot, like, another thing with bears is shot placement.
Yeah.
Bears are super hard to kill.
Well, a point I want to make before we get on to that is something about that sow coming in is when they're in the rut and they're rutting hard, the whole hindquarters of her hide is going to be
Yeah, she'll look like she has mange almost.
worn right off. So, like, when a bear comes in like that, like a big mature boar combs his hair every day.
Yeah, he's fully furred.
He looks good. Yeah. He's got the Dapper Dan in there. There's no burdocks on him. You know what I mean?
He's a stud.
He rolls himself in the moss and blow dries his hair. He looks good, right? He's a stud for the ladies. He doesn't make a habit of walking through burdocks. So if you got a bear that comes in that's full of burdocks and got the ass hair gone off it, like, that's
either
not
young
really,
bear or something.
right. That's not a bear. That's not a bear that you want to shoot. And if there is one coming in and you're in during that time frame and your outfitter tells you, you know, we're in the rut, like, those are the things you definitely got to watch for. And it takes time, even if it is a good bear, you know, because, I mean, at this point now, I guarantee all three of us could tell a boar from a sow 90% of the time if you've sat and watched enough of
Probably
them.
99.
And
there's some big sows out there.
There's-
Make no mistake.
Yeah, but they look different.
I shot one off the Briggs bait one time that was 260 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big.
She was a big bitch.
Yeah,
you know?
I've seen some big ones.
And but anyhow, yeah, that's something to think about because that rut is a magical time.
Oh, it's
The
awesome.
last one I shot was during the rut.
Yeah,
Never-
our camp record. Yeah, we've never seen the bear.
Yep.
Before.
Strolled in at 7:15.
Yep.
I was like, holy shit! Look at that first bear of the night.
Yeah.
Right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sat the first night. Never saw a bear. So he I was working at the time. My father was guiding him. Next night he went out and sat. It was like you say, like 7:15, 7:30. The bear come right out around. He said, "Geez, I thought I saw the barrel move." And then the bear come right out around the barrel. Didn't even look at the bait. Walked right out, right into the yard, and then saw the ground blind. Was sitting there looking at him and started huffing at him. He's like, "Well, that's enough of that." Shot him right in the head. Fell right in the pile.
Jeez.
405 pounds. Big bear.
That's a big animal.
Huge.
That's just a big animal.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh.
And dead weight.
Yeah.
Like they are literally jelly.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like a friggin' Ziploc bag full of
Yeah.
jelly rolled.
Think about a 70
rolled in dog hair.
Think about a 75-pound dog, how strong they are.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well, I get a good story for that. Like I said, all my baits, I've said before, I put a big rock on it. It's like something that nothing can. And I'll put on rocks that are huge, like probably 100-pound rock or 80-pound rock. And I mean, it takes me pretty much everything I can to get it up there. And then a little dink bear will come in and just one paw it right off the barrel.
yeah,
Like
just swat it off.
they'll just one paw a friggin' 100-pound rock right off the barrel. It's like frick. They're so strong, like pound for pound compared to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're pathetic compared to them.
So what about shot placement? What do you tell your guys?
Stay tight to that leg. Come right down center of the body.
Yeah.
There's no point. Like you got at least, especially in the spring, 5 inches on the top, 5 inches on the bottom of hair.
Yeah.
So I say come down that leg and put it right. Don't go back. I say stay right on that leg.
Yeah.
That's what I tell them. Middle of the middle, top to bottom, and basically follow the guard hairs up. Give them a little bit of room for the meat. And
Because you don't got to go very far out of that rib cage and you're in the guts.
if you shoot it like a white-tailed deer, you're going to get hair. Or just maybe unzip it. You're going to get a lot of blood. You're going to be really hopeful and excited. And you're going to like not find a bear.
Now, it used to be, and actually the last bear I shot, I tried this, that guys said shoot them, like you said, Wes, middle of the middle.
Top to bottom. I don't agree with middle of the middle, front to back, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people do say that.
Like lengthwise, middle.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you're going to lose them.
You'll kill it, but it'll be 2 weeks.
So I
Gut shot it, or liver,
so
best.
I went from the leg, I split the bear in half, and I went a quarter of the way towards the front from half, and top to bottom I went in the middle. And he went like 60 yards, just smucked him. Is that right now?
That's 405 pounds of bear laying there in the yard.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking wild.
That's something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every guide's dream to roll in and see that.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
It's just cool. It's just like, you know that we have a ton of bears around.
Well,
and
that's
you don't,
the thing.
And you don't see them. So my number one question is, how many actually is there? And number two, like, where do they all go here in the wintertime? Like a bear like that's 400 and some odd pounds. Like, you know, I've seen a few of them dead.
Mhm.
Danny Parrish got one, and then Elton Morrison got one that was on the Beckham Road. I've got pictures of it on my stand. That was a huge bear. That one actually might have been over 500.
Yeah, he's killed.
It was like within 10 pounds or just over.
Yeah, he's killed a few in the 500. His biggest one's 543. And it looked like a friggin' it was a picture. I saw the picture of it. It was hanging at cars, and it looked like a friggin' moose.
That's a lot of
Like,
bear.
it's insane.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, it's from floor to ceiling at Carr's Meat Shop, and it's like this big.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Just
Oh,
an
man.
absolute
The
tank.
picture of it, I hope he gives me the picture. It's friggin' crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, he always had gun hunters too. All his baits were 50 yards or further, 50 to 100, and man, like I basically guide just traditional bow hunters, and my maximum stands 15 yards. Like that's hard to get a big bear in that close.
That's
Like,
close.
Because I've got trail cameras on every bait. Like I've got 400-pound bears, 350, 300. Some of them even probably close to 5, like just behemoth bears. But man, I mean, you got to have the friggin' stars aligned to have one walk in at 10 to 15 yards. Holy shit!
So You come to pick up a hunter, and he shot a bear. What do?
Ask him what happened. Tell me about it.
He shoots one at like 7 o'clock. Still daylight.
Just have a discussion. How do you feel? Did you make a good shot? Yes or no? Did you hear a death moan? And then go from there. And then look around. And just make your decision based on what he says.
Fair enough. I usually don't dig the game sled out till I go and find it.
Oh, I don't dig the game sled out. I just go in and ask him questions. That's it.
Would you look for it that night?
A lot of times I do.
Yeah,
Depending on where I am, because sometimes I'm an hour from camp, or I'm running my baits.
Yeah.
So
there's some hard to track.
They're fucking horrible. There's nothing worse to track than one of them.
Yeah.
They will lead you through the worst stuff.
Yeah. They live in the worst stuff.
They do. There's no question. That's their living room, I guess.
That's why it's nice if you can pull back away from that heavy woods a bit.
Yeah, I don't like to, especially if I hear it. If the hunter tells me that they hear a death moan, I'll 100% go and find it.
Yeah, then it's a done deal.
But sometimes I won't. Sometimes I will.
Oh, I never walk in with a game sled. I don't care unless they they heard the death moan. Or
it's very situation pending.
Oh yeah.
So, do you have a lot of gun hunters, Rye?
Yep.
You do, eh? Yeah.
Yep.
And over the years, have you noticed? I mean, bows have gotten better and stuff, and I mean, it all depends on the user. But what do you notice for like kill ratio, bows to guns? I mean,
I have higher success on bows and bows and crossbows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kill them, eh?
Yeah.
If
a lot.
they get 'em in the right spot.
That's probably one of my number one asked questions at the show. Like, how big a gun do I need? A 30-06 or a 270 or a 308 will kill as many bears in this country as anything. You don't need a 300 Win Mag, a 338 Lapua.
You just got to put it in the right spot.
That's right. It's all shot placement.
Yeah.
Right on. Outside of that, I had down what should guys expect when they come on a hunt with you guys? If they're gonna book an outfitter and say they book one of you guys, Rye, you go ahead and start first. What should they expect and what do they need to be thinking about before they come?
Well, I know when they arrive, they're shown their cabin. We have a fire going. We sit out around the fire, shoot the shit, let everybody get settled in. Meet everybody, hear their stories.
Yeah.
Everybody's pumped to be at camp for the week, right?
Do guys usually show up in time to shoot, or they can shoot the next morning? I guess.
Yeah, usually we lots of time the next morning. Get all their licenses bought and get all that rigmarole done.
Yeah.
Wesley gives them his allocation code to buy their license, but I do it right at the lodge when they get there. And yeah, it's just I lay out at breakfast and dinner and when it'll be and when we go to stand and what to expect, and I give them the crash course on the bears and
What so how long would guys normally sit?
So we have our it kind of depends on which set of baits you're at. Like if I got to run an hour or more, usually we're out of camp by 2. But if you're fairly close, by 3 o'clock you're in the stand, 3:30.
Yeah.
And then, in the spring you're sitting till 10 pretty well.
Yeah. Longer sets.
Longer sit, yeah. So we give them a snack. Don't give them a full lunch because I don't like a bunch of food around the blinds. So when they come back, there's a full cooked meal, light, soup, sandwich, everything before we go to bed. And some of those mornings, if we kill bears and we're dragging them out, we're not back in till 1:30 or 2.
Yeah, it's late nights in the springtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's magical though.
Oh, it's awesome.
Such a good time. Such a good time of year.
It's like Wesley messaged me. He's like, I feel like we should be baiting right now.
Yeah.
I said this year that I baited some last year, but now that I got that stand a little better, I said I miss it. I really do. It's the last bear I shot was 2012.
It's just such a good time to be in the woods.
It is, yeah.
I just being out there today walking the dogs, I'm like, man, I cannot wait to bear hunt this year.
I love the season before it gets really green.
Yeah.
I like
me
it
too.
when it's still
No
like gray.
mosquitoes.
Yeah, like but
yeah, well, it feels like fall.
That's right.
It's a good right now is a good time of year. It's one of my favorites.
Yep.
Yeah, nice and cool. There's no bugs. The leaves aren't on. It's
Yep.
just friggin' perfect.
And I genuinely like not only baiting again is like scouting and waterfowl hunting. Like I like to sit, I like to see the bears come in, but I love to bait.
Yeah. Oh, me
Like
too.
to just be out all day running baits. Just love that.
I struggle to just sit there, even if the bait's active.
Now, do you guys let people bait with you?
I do. Yes.
Like before.
Like
the
if I
hunters come in, you mean?
if I come to you guys and we'll say I book like what, a week? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my hunters show up on Sunday
Okay.
and we'll leave on Saturday.
Same with you, right?
Same with me. Yeah.
Okay, so if I show up on Sunday and Monday or Tuesday I kill a bear,
Mm-hmm.
like, what are they doing the rest of the week?
Well, some guys buy another tag and hunt,
Yeah.
and other guys,
I got a lot of guys that
want
like
to
to
tag
fish.
along. I got a lot of guys that want to fish. Yep. Smallmouth and brook trout. But yeah, I'll let them bait, depending on the baits and if they're going to be hunted.
Yeah.
They don't leave the truck or the bike.
Yeah.
I go to the bait myself
I don't.
and pick up the cameras, the SD cards. I don't let them walk in with me with the bait.
Yeah,
or
neither
anything.
do I.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense.
I'll bring, if people want to go like before the season. So my first group is May 13th. So from April 15th or whatever up until before the first week. Then, I mean, if you want to go, yeah, I take people all the time.
Geez, you could
But not during the season.
Could have easily booked guys in April this year.
Oh,
You just never know, though,
No.
right?
No,
How
I
do you know?
I just said it. Like my first week of hunters on the 19th of May,
Yeah.
and it's like right where our lodge is. Like normally by the end of April, you're just getting to your baits basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of lower river baits now, but I still wouldn't take anyone the 1st of May or even the second week's pushing it.
No,
that,
me
that
either.
month of
Yeah.
June's a pretty magical time.
Oh, I love you.
I killed a lot of bears
Yeah.
in May, mid-May, but I always liked hunting in June better.
Yeah. Well,
But the biggest bears I ever killed were in June.
yeah. June's kind of. I'm worried this year maybe they're going to be rubbed out a little bit because it's going to be early, or like they're out early, and I think the end of June. The last 2 years, the fur has been great on them.
Yeah,
It
and
makes me wonder about where I think, or I agree. I think the rut's going to be earlier. Makes me wonder if it's going to shut down earlier too. So your end of June.
I don't think your rut time will change a whole lot.
I think they rut the same.
I think
time
they
every
rut
year.
the same time, but I think you're going to see the hides worked a little harder, like between bugs and the boars chasing the sows, and even I think the boars will be rubbed out some.
Yeah, probably.
Like the last 2 years, like I haven't had any hunters the last week of the season, and the bears have been just prime. Like I look at the cameras, I'm like, oh my god.
I find those bigger ones aren't like that anyway. Like if you're shooting, I understand what you mean.
Some of it is weather based. Like if it's
some of it
hot,
is.
they're gonna rub out. I believe they are.
and if they're prolific breeders too. I mean,
Yep.
you can't ride that much and not knock some fur off. I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Especially your undercarriage.
That's right. Yeah, it might be a
If
little.
he's got a bald belly.
might be a little slack on the belly, little just for men, but those bigger bears, like that would almost be another thing to say to guys. Like, look, they really are gonna come in and they're gonna be shiny. It's gonna be a thick black coat. Like it's gonna look like a manicured animal. They just don't make a habit of getting stuff all through their fur.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't usually have guys misjudge a big bear. Like
No,
They-
if
they
it
know.
looks small, it is small.
yeah, if you're unsure,
Yeah.
it's probably
It's
small.
too small. Yeah.
Like if you don't know, then it's too small. If it comes in and you're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
then it's a good sized bear. It might be. I mean, most guys like first time or say the first 3 times they've ever bear hunted a 200-pound bear or 250
Is
it's
awesome.
a friggin' nice bear. And
Great
it's gonna
bear.
look gigantic.
and it's like
It is a good bear.
It
a
is a nice bear, yeah.
250-pound bear is a good bear, and if you're looking to do a rug, that's about the max you'd want, really.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
a 250-pound bear is going to take up a shitload
Well, I
of
mean,
room.
you picture me at 250 pounds and you had 5 inches all the way around me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're friggin' humongous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a big critter.
Yep.
And then it only gets bigger from there. Like, if you see one 300 plus, I mean, I've never had a hunter that didn't shoot a 300 pounder. Like, it was like, oh, I wasn't sure. They're always sure, especially at 15 yards.
But as far as the spring season, someone booking a hunt and coming here, what to expect? You're going to expect late nights.
Yeah.
It's not early mornings, like you'll
Sleep
be able
in.
to sleep in, but it is late nights. By the time you get back and dinner, and if you want to sit around and have a drink or whatever.
But it's a good it's a good camp. Springtime
Oh,
is
yeah.
like such a good time to be around. And there's one thing about it is there's lots of bears here. You know, it like really when guys come up here, they shouldn't be in a rush. Like if they have something in their mind, like
Go with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should have an opportunity. Just hang tough and enjoy your time in the stand, and because the population here, like Blood Origins said, this is the highest density in
Yep.
Canada,
Yep.
And my
in North America.
in my
In North
experience,
America.
I've found the longer they can sit, the better their odds are of shooting a bigger bear.
Yeah,
That's my personal experience. If they can
Yep.
put in 3 or 4 days, they're going to get
But
a
it,
bigger bear, an opportunity.
it's a magical time of year too. All the moose are dropping their calves, and
heck yeah.
you could be sitting there around the fire at the lodge, and a moose could bring her twins into the pond. Happens every year.
Yeah,
It's pretty neat.
It's I bought another trail camera, another one of them Tacticams.
Did you?
I'm friggin' geared to go.
Yeah,
I'm
I got 8 of them now.
I'm so freaking pumped, man. I'm so pumped. Like honestly, when I'm looking back through those pictures I had, them 8x10s, I'm like, man, when was that I shot that bear? And I got thinking, I'm like, 2012. Like that's a long time ago.
13 years,
Yeah,
14
just
years.
friggin', and I love bear hunting.
Yep.
It's time. I need a little break that way.
I think as far as
something to do in the springtime.
another thing too, I think as far as a North American big game animal, a black bear, especially here in New Brunswick, gets an awful bad name for being a nuisance.
It's so underrated.
It's so underrated.
Like we have such a good opportunity here if people would treat them as such. I mean, I understand that if you're trying to grow a cash crop and this thing is tearing it down, yes, I understand that it is 100% of a nuisance. But as far as like hunters around here, like
it's on my apple pile and you're deer hunting. Well, you know what?
think
man.
think
You
about
know what
it, though.
happens.
Yeah, you're looking to shoot a big buck. Like I understand that, and I understand, like you said, what happens. But man, the opportunity here, if you're a bow hunter, to shoot a Pope and Young black bear,
Yep.
the odds,
Oh, yeah.
the odds as a resident or non-resident are high,
I usually
very
get
high.
at least 1 to 3 Pope and Young bears shot every year.
Yeah,
That's one thing those trad bow guys are really good at, is getting their bears scored.
Yeah, that's good.
They really like to get them scored.
yeah.
But no, it's certainly something that's underrated here as a pest, and it is a North American big game animal, and it should be regarded in that aspect. To me,
Yeah, I've always thought the same, Ryan. I'm like, man, we're out here, and I understand it's not everybody's game, but like, what an opportunity if you put the time and effort into
Well,
it.
and here's another thing that people don't realize. Bear actually tastes good.
yeah, they do,
It tastes great.
and the stuff you can do with their fat,
Fat.
render
And that's the biggest thing, is trim the damn fat off if you're going to cook it and eat it.
yeah,
You don't,
Render
the
that
fat is
down.
where they want.
render it down. Yeah, awesome cooking oil.
Yep.
They say it's the best for baking.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've
it
never
is.
tried it, but
Well, it's like, it's lard.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got a whole bunch out there to do.
yeah, like I like bear meat. I mean, I'll throw a backstrap,
It doesn't-
smoker in the barbecue, just trim all the sinew and silver skin
It's
fat
just like,
off it. And I mean, I don't know if I can tell the difference between deer and bear. Really.
It's like anything, man. It's all in the prep.
yeah,
If
exactly.
you're gonna throw an old goose breast in a frying pan with a silver skin on it,
Oh,
there ain't a man on this earth can make that taste good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know.
Cajuns do a decent job at it. They shoot coots and everything.
Yeah, but they cut the silver skin off.
No, yeah, they definitely do.
I'm looking forward to it, boys. I can tell you
Yeah.
that. I plan on running 2. I'm not going to have a whole bunch, but
Two's all you need though, in good spots. Frig.
oh yeah, no, I don't want
lots
to do
of
any more.
bears.
It needs to be manageable.
Now here's the question for me: are you going to trophy hunt, or what are you going to do? Like, you're going to run 2 baits, obviously. You want
Oh yeah, no, I've got no intentions of Shoot, I know that I've got.
You got
good
a number in
spots
your head?
of size?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want another one over 300. 300's my limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a dandy.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that I've got them around. I've shot.
Man.
I know what they look like. I've shot a couple now.
Well, since 2012, oof, the
Yeah.
bear population here is just freaking.
I know
crazy.
they're there. I mean, I've done this long enough, and I've missed bears that were the one I missed on the 95 was every bit of that. Frig, that was another good one. But I've had them on all my stands. It's just a matter of being there and putting the time in, and for me, that's just a good chance to get out and do something a little different, right? Rather than just work till 10:30 every night.
Yeah.
Good change of pace. You look forward to it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I miss it. I really
Oh.
do. I absolutely love bear hunting. I couldn't care less to hunt a deer. Like in the fall, we're busy, but in the springtime, it gives you something to do. And I love sitting in the woods in spring.
Yep.
I love guiding. I like the bait and trying to get people on the bears. I don't have the desire to sit anymore. I love to just bait and try to get someone.
I'd like to sit and film. Get
That
some
would be
film.
fun.
I
Yeah.
like sitting there and them great big bastards come out of just fucking lumbering out there.
I like walking in on them when you're baiting and they're sitting at the barrel.
Yeah.
That's spicy. That'll make you feel alive.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anything else, guys?
No, just looking forward to
That was
it.
a great talk. Like, I was.
I feel like it could be a second run.
Yeah,
on that.
we probably could. Have you got more you want to talk about?
No, I'd have to sit back and think about it. This
Yeah.
was kind of spur of the moment
This was
for me.
This. I just wanted to kind of cover the basics.
I think
and
we
did,
covered-
and we
I
did.
did.
We did a really good job of that about choosing a spot. You know, when you look at a piece of woods, what do you look for? When you find that piece of woods, that area, that block of woods, okay, where do you put your bait and why? What type of bait do you use? We went over, stink baits, burns, how you start your bait at the start of the year. Where do you put your stand? We talked about that with where you actually put your barrel and what do you do first. Judging a bear, shot placement, tracking a bear,
We gave her a pretty good go over.
what to expect on a hunt. So that's a good start, and I bet there's going to be a lot of guys, certainly from Nova Scotia, that are really going to appreciate that,
I
and
already
from
got-
here too.
I got messages right away from people in Nova Scotia. So we're getting a spring hunt. What do you do?
Do we want to touch on turkeys?
Or do we do
The draws.
Or do we do a turkey episode? Yeah, the draws.
Draws tomorrow.
It is, eh?
Yeah.
Why don't we do an episode for turkeys?
Yeah, we can. Yeah. I just thought like this was. I didn't want to jump back and forth. This was good.
Because after tomorrow, we might have somebody with a tag.
Yeah, and it's good, and it's a good amount of time. So the draw is tomorrow.
And we've been talking for over an hour and a half.
Jeez, I hope one of us gets it. You must be due.
Yeah, I'm due. But
due.
I'm in the outfitter draw too, which I'm excited for.
I'm definitely due. I drew the first year.
Yeah.
Have you drawn? Oh, you never drew.
What zone did you put in for? 15?
10.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I'm out there all the time. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Well,
You put in for 15?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see what's been strolling around the settlement here?
Oh yeah, right. They've been right across the
Man.
road here, steady.
Yeah. There and
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
I suppose this is a video now.
Yeah.
I'm facing the other end of the house anyway.
There
It
could
was
be
funny.
anywhere.
I was sitting there actually recording turkeys, 2 toms. Do you see all the toms in that video? I'll show you the video when we get done.
Okay.
Looks like we're talking about turkeys a little bit. Anyway, I took a video of these toms and holy shit. Well, 2 of them were strutting. There's a bunch and I'm sitting there filming, pulled over, and here comes a friggin' cop car and Waylon Brown rolls up. He said, "You want me in your video?" He was doing the same thing, looking at the turkeys.
Oh.
So, nice to run into him anyway. He's fired up too.
Yeah, well, I hope that people that wanted in got in because I know it was a little earlier this year.
Man, I hope they
I
didn't.
think you're gonna see the turkey number applicants down
Lesson.
because I talked to
I didn't tell anybody but good friends.
I didn't say anything either,
Not lying.
and I had a shit ton of messages. It's like, is the turkey draw still open? No, it closed Friday. Like I had 10 people message me, so I think quite a few missed it.
Huh.
Because it was kept pretty hush. Like
It really
Yeah.
was. This
there
year,
was
yeah.
not much blow up on it at all.
Nobody was really talking about it. I didn't
No.
find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frig that, man.
So the
There's
first
only
year, what did they have? 5 or 5,500 people apply for
Yeah.
500 tags?
almost 6,000 people.
Yeah, 6,000. I think.
It'll be down.
Oh yeah. it
If
will
you're
be.
not from this area, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, the novelty wears off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah. All right on, boys.
I didn't miss it.
I didn't.
Neither did I.
Neither did Rowan. So I really hope he gets it.
Friggin' right. I hope somebody does anyway.
Yeah.
I
think
hope we
did
all
they
do.
up the Zone 10 license?
I
Well,
think
if
it's
they
still-
did, they did zone
'Cause they-
10 and 15.
Because they reduced some zones.
Yeah.
There was a
I think we
shift.
got-
There was a shift to tags.
I think we're 150 still.
Oh, so it went up.
I think, or were we 100?
I think we're 125.
Okay, maybe we did get 25. I know they put it way up in St. Stephen, I think.
Yeah.
Can't remember what zone that is. And then I think they.
See, I think a lot of the birds down there are in around the houses.
They're in the town.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
everyone sees all these birds. Everyone posting them, but they're all in the
They're
village.
Right in the town, man.
Yeah.
Like, I've been there.
And then you go around it, it's like, well, there's nowhere to hunt them.
No. Exactly.
10 zone 10 had just let me double check. Yeah, 2024. Zone 10 has 110 tags.
110?
Oh, so we dropped. I think.
15
Yeah, I thought we were on
15 and 16 have 110. Zone 20, which would be down St. Stephen and all that area, has 160.
Yeah, they went up.
22 and 23, which are the last two zones of the 6, they both have 30.
Okay, so what they did on those two zones, they reduced.
And they got rid of 17.
And I would say that they put, maybe it was 100 tags per zone up here. They put 10 more tags per zone
I
in.
thought we had one.
Because there was a switch around there this year.
110.
Because didn't Zone 17 used to have tags too? I think they completely
15,
dropped it.
16.
I thought it was 17 and they dropped
For a grand total of 550 tags.
Yep, that's what there was.
Yeah. 500 or 450.
So the zones,
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
the zones are 10, 16, 10, 15, 16, 20, 21, 22, 23.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see that.
Or I could just add that to the video.
You could also do that, yeah. No tags on Graham and Ann.
It's weird.
That is weird. They should have them out there, though.
They should. They wouldn't last long.
Is that the Yarmouth of New Brunswick?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, guys. That was
Yeah,
a really good
good talk.
podcast. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Good topic.
getting out chasing bears,
Yeah.
feeding them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turkeys first, boys.
Yep.
Turkeys first.
Turkeys first. Yeah.
Dog training first.
Dog training's happening right now.
Yeah,
so-
I know. All right. We're going to stop. We're going to talk for forever here.
Absolutely.
Well, shut it off there, switchboard master.
I will, boys. Talk to you later.
Peace,
Later.
peace out, guys.